Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Wave. So it turns out that the former president Donald Trump, who constantly complains about a two-tiered justice system and a weaponized Justice Department against him, just because he happens to be the leading Republican candidate against Joe Biden. We hear until the cows come home about how unfair and unjust and biased the justice system is against him. And now the same former president who continually complains about unfairness in the Justice Department is now stoking fears about how he would handle going after people who have wronged him as he sees it if he was to gain control of the White House for a second term. Now, we're going to look at this article here from The Hill, which says, Trump's threats to Milley fuel fears he'll seek vengeance in second term. Former President Trump's violent rhetoric towards General Mark Milley is raising fears he will use a second term in the Oval Office to seek retribution against his enemies. Trump suggested Friday that Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who is stepping down from his post at the end of the week, deserves the death penalty for allegedly betraying him and committing an act of treason. The threat came just days after Milley warned that if Trump wins the presidency in 2024, he would enact vengeance against those he felt have done him wrong, and Milley believes he is at the top of that revenge list. He'll start throwing people in jail, and that would be on top of the list, Milley told The Atlantic in a profile of the four-star general published last week. Christy Parker, a legal counsel at Protect Democracy who leads litigation on abuses of power and interference with government functions, says Trump's comments about Milley are deeply troubling for American democracy. Even just the threats have an incredibly chilling effect on public actors' ability to do the jobs we need them to do to have a functional democracy, she said. Trump has shown and talked about weaponizing the Justice Department to retaliate against people who he perceives as his enemies. And he did, in fact, do that to people when he was president the first time. The Trump-Milley feud has simmered for years, with the two clashing over the military's role in the 2020 racial justice protests and the January 6th, 2021 attack on the Capitol. But long after the administration ended, Milley remains at the top of Trump's mind as books and articles have documented steps the general says he took to protect against Trump's erratic behavior. Last week's death threat stems from reports that at the end of his presidency, Milley reassured Chinese officials there would be no threat to Beijing in the final days of Trump's administration, according to the 2021 book Peril by journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. The communication has long infuriated Trump, who took to Truth Social last week to condemn Milley's years of service as treasonous ahead of his retirement from the Joint Chiefs of Staff later this week. Milley was actually dealing with China to give them a heads up on the thinking of the President of the United States, he posted. That is an act so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death. So let's just break this down here a bit. Mark Milley reassuring China when the whole world was freaking out over the Capitol insurrection, and our allies were wondering, is there still democracy and stability and law and order in the United States of America? Milley reassuring Beijing that it would be a part of his job. That is not going over the president of the United States or going behind his back, when that was the very definition of his job, was to reassure our allies and to communicate with our allies when needed to make sure that they still have a stable and healthy view and relationship with the United States of America. And again, this is coming from the same guy who says that everything is unfair against him, and everything that is coming at him as a result of his legal troubles. It's all just an unfair, biased, crooked system that's out to get him. But he's promising that if he was to take control of that very system again, God forbid, that he's going to be using the power that he has to go after other people and to lock up people that he doesn't agree with or he thinks that have gone after him or have slighted him in any kind of way. Now, how is that not hypocritical? How is that not totally blatant hypocrisy of saying that the system's rigged against him, but then I'm going to use the same system to persecute people who are going against me? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense how people cannot see that this is pure hypocrisy from Donald Trump. Now, I guess to be a Republican nowadays, hypocrisy and being a hypocrite is not a bug. It's a design feature of the modern day GOP, and it's in fact a requirement to be a hypocrite, to be a Republican in many ways. But it's just astonishing how people do not see this. And I guess really what the answer is that people are okay with Trump being a hypocrite, and people are okay with Trump using the same justice system that he's claiming is unfair against him to be unfair against other people, because the way they see it is that it's not unfair. These people are getting exactly what they deserve for going against the president and for taking a stand against him in any sort of way. But guess what? That's not democracy. That's not liberal democracy. That is authoritarianism. That is a dictatorship. If Donald Trump gets to call the shots of who gets to go to prison based on how they've treated him in the past, whether or not what they said or did was illegal or treasonous in any sort of way, that is a dictatorship. That's not American democracy. And so when we call this movement fascistic, okay, it's not to say a cool word that is fun to say that isn't representative of reality at all, or to just rile up people and be outlandish and call them fascists just because it's going to get more clicks and get more attention. No, they're doing things that are directly linked to fascism. And one of these things is the use of the Justice Department, or the use of the apparatus of law and order that exists in any given country to persecute political opponents and to persecute people who go against the leader, to do the very same thing that they're saying is being done to Trump and is so bad. That very thing they want to go out and do to other people. How the hell is that not hypocrisy is beyond me. It is hypocrisy. But how the hell do people not realize it is beyond me. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this blatant hypocrisy here from Trump, saying that he's going to use the Justice Department to go after political opponents, and saying that Mark Milley should be put to death for simply reassuring Beijing that America still, that there's no threat to Beijing, and that even though the January 6th riots happened and it was a really scary, perilous moment, especially from people on the outside looking in and relying on America's stability and consistent strategic partnership in order to make up the modern world and to have it function, that's something that Mark Milley should be put to death for? I mean, wow. What else is Trump going to do if he was to be reelected? Who else is he going to go after? Just how bad could it get? Not something I'm going to find out. That's why I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get Joe Biden reelected as president of the United States, because our country cannot survive a second Donald Trump presidency. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. Catch you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.